The sustainable development of tourism requires a true understanding of the potential impacts of tourism on the environment. Tourism can impact the environment in a number of ways. The impact may be caused by tourist behavior, constructions, the quality of infrastructure, the dynamics between tourism supply and demand, design of facilities and infrastructure, and their setting. Other causes of impact is violations of tourism development guidelines by developers and effective law enforcement. Impacts of tourism on the environment. An impact represents a long-term change. A ball of chew gum spat out by one tourist on city sidewalk will not be that noticeable. The gum could be easily broken down by natural processes as well. However, when the number of tourists spitting out chew gum on the pavement increases, they become very obvious. When the gum is thrown more frequently, nature will not be able to break down soon enough. Therefore, an impact could be caused by the imbalance between the tourist waste generations and the nature's capacity to break them down. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in 1995, infrastructure could impact the environment through improper seating, which can destroy threatened species and unique features, such as hot springs. They could also disrupt animal territories, their movement and migration patterns, and alter the environment through bulldozing of mountains, cutting down trees, reclamations, building piers, etc. One of the ways negative impacts are prevented is the imposition's guidelines. Example of such guidelines concerns building height limit, beach setback, building materials, and architectural design. Hunter and Green, 1969, in Swarbrook, 1999. Identified the impacts of tourism on the physical environment to be the disruptions of breeding habits of animals, the killing of animals in hunting or a source of souvenirs, migrations animals, trampling of vegetations, clearing of vegetations to accommodate tourist facilities, and creations of sanctuary for animal conservations. Roche, White, and Flores in 2002 observed the following effects of tourism on coastal areas: bacterial contaminations, siltation from dredging or construction, pollution and excess nutrients from poor waste disposal and sewerage, overfishing to provide fish to tourists, and coral breakage from diving and anchoring or for sale as souvenirs. Warren, Ken, and Pat in 2007 found that recreational vessels contribute significantly to overall levels of microbial sewage indicators. Bridley, Kirkpatrick, and Von Platen in 2006 studied the effect of human defecations in campsites in Australia. The results indicate that human waste were not only unsightly but also contaminated water supply, especially after periods of heavy rainfall. Next is the land degradation. Tourism can contribute to land degradations through urban sprawl caused by migrations to tourism centers in Baguio City and commercial development of areas adjacent to tourist attractions. Uncontrolled migrations leads to sudden increases in population, which can strain social services infrastructure such as toilets, parks, and health facilities. Next is the waste depletion. Tourists and tourism establishments contribute to environmental degradations through the productions of waste. Many times this is due to careless behavior or utter disregard for the environment. Sometimes it is due to the lack of facilities and trash bins in parks, campsites, and beach resorts and other areas frequented by tourists. Waste products include biodegradable waste such as food waste, leftover food by customers, kitchen food scraps, spoiled food, grey water from bathing and from swimming pools, human waste, sewage sludge, coffee wastewater, and paper products from business operations. Improper disposal of such waste can lead to visual pollutions and may cause health problems, as decomposing food items attract rats, flies, and cockroaches that can transmit harmful germs to human or other animals. Next is pollution. The major forms of pollution are air, water, light, visual, and noise pollution. Air pollution is caused by the release of chemicals and particulates into the atmosphere. Another kind of pollution is light pollution, which according to Globe at Night is the excessive, misdirected, or obtrusive artificial light. Light pollutions from tourism can emanate from strong lights from airports, seaports, beach resorts and hotels, street lights, and neon signage in entertainment districts. The main sources of light pollution are glare, light trespass, and sky glow. Glare from unshielded lighting is a public health hazard. It can cause loss of contrast, sometimes blinds people temporarily, and makes driving difficult. Next is light trespass. Is unwanted light entering one's property, such as light shining into a bedroom window. The last is sky glow. It's the glow effect seen over populated areas, such as metropolitan areas. It is the combinations of all the reflected light and upward directed light. The last is noise pollution. Includes roadway noise, aircraft noise, industrial noise, as well as high-intensity sonar. Noise pollution from tourism may be generated by transportations like airplanes, trains, cars, and buses, road traffic, appliances like vacuum cleaners, and industrial equipment. Noise in hotels comes from chatter, air conditioning units, power generators, and vacuum cleaners.
Visual pollution. Visual pollution, or the loss of aesthetic appeal, is caused by the presence of eyesores such as overhead power lines, motorway billboards, scared landforms, as from strip mining, open storage of trash or litter. Buildings constructed by the coastline can also become visual polluters by blocking the view of beautiful sunsets of the sea views. Clashing and unfitting architectural styles also contribute to visual pollution. Vandalism and destruction in geological formation through vandalism and erosion were other problems observed in tourist destination. These refer to something that is not appropriate to your eyes that you don't want to see in our environment. Those examples are power lines that we usually see in the road, street, especially those areas that have big population motorway billboard that we usually viewed in different side of road that cause it block the good view of nature. Garbage that spread all over the street and the public market that cause road was blocked. Building constructed on coastline that block the view of sunset and seaside, and vandalism that cause structure to destroy. Water pollution. Water pollution is caused by discharging wastewater from commercial and industrial sources, intentionally or through spills, into surface water discharges of untreated domestic sewage and chemical contaminants, such as chlorine from treated sewage, release of waste and contaminants into surface runoff flowing to surface waters, including urban runoff and agricultural runoff, which may contain chemical fertilizers and pesticides, waste disposal and leaching into groundwater, eutrophication, and littering. This is the result of having bad habit of throwing anything on the water that causes water to be polluted, such as chemicals came from the industrial sources, human waste that floating on the river, usually in the squatter area near on the river, garbage throw on the sea and the river that cause some various kind of aquatic life unable to survive on the toxic water. Climate change. According to UNEP, tourism is linked to climate change as many aspects of the industry are accompanied by heavy carbon footprint. With increased leisure activity, tourism industry will be contributing more to global GHG emissions. CO2 emissions from tourists account for just 5% of global CO2 emissions, compared with the emissions of countries' tourism would be the fifth biggest polluter worldwide. The emissions produced by tourism of 4 to 5 week duration are bigger than the emission produced by billions of people living and working for 1 year in industrial countries or emerging economies. This is the result of having polluted environment that cause unusual weather condition which turns to disaster. Water. Tourism contributes to natural resource depletion. According to Taffer Hijikaku, Novel and Jenkinson 2011, countries in the Caribbean, Mediterranean, and North Africa are suffering severe water stress caused in part by tourism development. Water scarcity is attributed partly to tourism-generated pollution, unregulated tourism development, and pollution growth and fluctuations during tourism high seasons. This is the most important needs of people for drinking and for cleaning. Keeping it clean makes environment more beautiful. Habitat fragmentation. Habitat fragmentation is frequently caused by humans when native vegetation is cleared for human activities, which include construction of theme parks, resorts, hotels, and airports. Reclamation causes animal habitats, which were once continuous, become fragmented. This fragmentation results in decreased area for feeding and breeding by animals. Habitat fragmentation and destruction cause plants, animals, and other organisms and occupy the habitat to have a reduced carrying capacity. This can lead to the population decline and possible extinction. Caused by humans, constructing parks results hotels and airports that results in other area for feeding and breeding by animals. This can lead to population decline and possible extinction. Endangered bird species are particularly vulnerable to habitat loss. When forests are cleared, animals that depend on trees such as monkeys cease to exist. Habitat loss decreases the range of certain animals population, which can result in reduced genetic diversity, which translates into the production of infertile offspring.
Animal species extinction. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome or AIDS, severe acute stress syndrome or SARS, and avian flu are other exposure wild animals increase the risk of transmission of diseases. In contact with primate blood and body fluids during hunting and butchering exposes people to new viruses with no known vaccines in 2007.
Animal species extinction is tourism can contribute to the extinction of animals in a number of ways. One is by animal products as food. Sea turtles, eggs, and meat are sometimes offered as delicacies in the south in many African countries. Exotic animals known as bush meat are also eaten as food. Tourism impacts on coral reefs. In 1995, United States Environmental Protection Agency is setting a building facility or project on effect of the environment in a number of ways. Tourism impacts on coral reefs. Tourism-related impacts on coral reefs are significant, but they are also compounded with other impacts that are not easily distinguished from those of tourism. And Cooperative Research Center Pusnabo Tourism Fund that hosts riding, mountain biking, off-road vehicles, and rock climbing to the high-impact activities and wilderness areas.
Beach encroachment and crowding. An impact that has been observed in Boracay was beach encroachment by resort owners, abated by beach setbacks that got smaller and smaller over the years. In 1970s, the mandatory setback from the shoreline and from the buildings was 100 meters, and in 1997 has been whittled down to 25 meters. Positive impacts of tourism on the environment. Towns and cities that are to be tourist destinations tend to beautify the areas, such as by constructing beautiful boundary markers, landscaping, painted fences, and manicured hedges along the main roads, and they also exert effort to make their places clean and orderly.
Positive impacts of tourism on the environment. Tourism has the potential to improve environmental quality in many ways, and tourism can provide the incentive to develop land for commercial development, like our theme parks that are located previously unproductive mountain areas.